live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Holy moly.
If we lose you at the beginning,
Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Ohio, because I'm in Ohio today. And I've got very special guests in the house at C.A.R.E. And I understand that you guys are getting a little rain down there. Is that what's happening?
Here. It is a thunderstorm right now. Yeah.
in Punta Gorda, it's not. It's just over.
Wow. So, JOCELYN, where are you at?
I'm in Northport.
Northport. So Northport needed the rain last week when we had the fires. But hopefully we'll stick with that and we'll get a good saturation going on. Marilyn, why don't you start out, introduce yourself real quick, and then hand it off to JOCELYN, and we'll let her do her thing.
Okay. My name is MARILYN CARUSO. I am one of the SB advocates here at the Center for Abuse and Rape Emergencies in Punta Gorda, and we service all of Charlotte County.
Awesome. And JOCELYN?
My name is JOCELYN MOXIE ORTEGA Kurtz. I just got married this past September. I am an artist and owner of MOXIE Tattoo in Port Charlotte. May 6th will be 1 year that I will be open.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
That's all right. So I want to kind of hit the tattoo thing here for just a second. And I understand you've got some good artwork I want to talk to you about, but are you the female owner of the tattoo parlor?
Yeah.
So I want to hit that a little bit. Can you talk about your adventure into being self-employed at your own tattoo parlor?
Sure. I've been tattooing for about 10 years. I've worked at many different shops. I've worked in a lot of different states as well. I'm originally from New Jersey. I worked there for quite some time. And then I moved to California for about a year and a half, moved back to New Jersey because of family trauma stuff that had happened. And then I decided I didn't want to live in snow anymore, like your experience, John, right now. So I decided to move to Florida and kind of just like start fresh. And I've built up clientele pretty quickly. I'm a pretty personable person. And then I was able to open up my own shop. And once I opened my own shop is kind of when my whole life changed. I mean, in like so many ways, like ways I couldn't even imagine. Like my shop essentially became a safe space for women. It was supposed to be a private studio for me just to do my craft. Like that's all my intention was. And maybe a guest spot for some of my friends that wanted to come here and there. But it turned into so much more, like even bigger than myself. So I ended up with 2 incredible apprentices, Leanne and Taylor, and I just hired another artist, Paige. So we're an all-girls shop. Once I opened, though, I had a bunch of clients come to me and open up to me about sexual assault that had happened locally amongst other shops. And that's kind of how me and Marilyn met. We didn't even really meet. It was just the people I had sent and guided them to her for guidance. She then reached out to me to just, tell me like, that I'm doing good. And now here we are.
Doing awesome. And as I said, as she was saying, that's how we actually met is she had sent a few people and they became clients here of ours at C.A.R.E. And then we started realizing that females were getting this Medusa tattoo. And it was like kind of like a little TikTok thing, more so I think last year. I'm not so much now maybe, but basically using that tattoo image of Medusa in various forms and kind of taking back their sexuality, their power, and their power. And I know that Moxie can tell you a little bit about like the whole, and I can too, but the mythology that deals with Medusa.
Yeah, sure. So designing this image, I felt like it was really important to kind of just like put Medusa, and I mean, immediately it was like Rose of the Riveter. Like they have to merge, it's just like, what a strong image. So the whole thing with Medusa is that she was the very first like woman, mythological creature, whatever, like to be victim shamed. She was raped in Athena's stadium by Poseidon, and that pissed Athena off. So she ended up turning Medusa, who was this beautiful woman, into a monster. And that was Athena's punishment on Medusa for her being raped by Poseidon. So that's why she's this like figure now, and she symbolizes like strength, and it's kind of explaining her truth now at this point.
So I want to go back to something you said at the very beginning, that you have this, you didn't foresee the safe space that you were creating.
No, not at all.
And it's kind of funny because the minute that you're the owner, I automatically put women in the safe space for tattoos and consultation. I kind of think those two things would go hand in hand, don't they?
I guess so. This is my very first business, so I didn't really like know what to expect, like it literally just, in my perspective, it just happened. But I mean, the reality of it is that women know that again, I will say this till I'm blue in the face, that not all male tattooers are creeps. They are not, but some of them are. And it's the way that women decide if they're going to get a tattoo is they just decide to go to a woman. They decide to just go to a female artist just to avoid the possibility of that happening. And that's kind of what's been happening. And I'll say it again, men also need to speak up, because they need to pinpoint those predators, because then they can protect their own craft and they can continue to get their own clientele, instead of women just being like, forget all men tattooers, I'm going to go to women now. Like that's what's happening.
Well, what made you break out on your own? And I know that we usually do the C.A.R.E thing here for the whole 55 minutes, but what made you push your way through? Because there's definite barriers for people who are trying to start their own business, whether they're self-inflicted or inflicted by others. There's other barriers there. And I think this conversation works hand in hand with C.A.R.E overall, because there's just barriers put in place as people are going through things, whether it be an abusive situation, verbally or physically. Going into business is kind of the same thing a lot of times, where you're just kind of falling out there and going, gosh, I got so much to do, and there's so much responsibility going to it, and I'm not getting the support I thought I was going to get, but I'm going to push through it anyway. Did you have that thought process?
A little bit about me is that I am like a fighter and a go-getter, and like if you tell me I can't, guess what? I'm gonna. Like that's me. Okay. Everyone knows that about me. Like if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it, plain and simple. So I mean, for me personally, it wasn't very hard to open. I had been saving. I knew that this is what I wanted when I moved to Florida. Like it was always my end game. So I didn't really come into any real issues or problems like with opening, or, I had full support of my family, of my friends, my clients. Like I was swimming in support. Like, I really had like a really nice backing. So as far as like the troubles with opening, I didn't really have any, it was more like once I actually opened, it was just like the outpouring of love and support, and people, like I have people telling me like, we needed a shop like you in Port Charlotte. Like we needed you. And I'm like, don't even know how to take it. Like truly. you know?
Well,
What's
there is something to be there's something to be said about the safe space, the connections that happen when you kind of are unexpected. You're unexpectedly creating that environment.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, very much.
your vision wasn't that. Um, and I want to go back to the empowerment side because you are kind of like the picture of empowerment, the way you hold yourself, the way you carry yourself.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
So I love the fact that we've talked about this in the past because I didn't get to meet you until now. This is our first interaction, but I
Hmm.
feel like I know you because we've talked about the artwork that you put together and the passion that both CARE as a whole organization, Marilyn, of course, and you have to this project. And can you talk a little bit about what this project's meant to you?
Sure. I mean, well, when CARE first reached out to me they asked me like to kind of just be part of it. And they're like, oh, we'll just find a picture or a tattoo of Medusa and like, we'll just put that in the background. And I was like, no, 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 you're not. Because one, you don't know like who that tattoo belongs to, if they want to be associated to it. Two, you might end up with copyright issues. You just don't know. So I was like, I will do one better and I will design something for you guys that you guys can be proud of. And I'm a little bit of a just like once I say I'm going to do something, like I said, I do it. I had it ready for them like the very next day because
I was going to say, I think she did it in 24 hours. We're like, what is going on here? It was
once
awesome.
I set my mind to something, I do it. Like I said.
I know.
So I
It
mean,
was
So
great.
people can actually go on CARE's website. Can you explain, Marilyn, where this is located on the CARE website?
So if you go on the CARE website, if you scroll down the bottom on any of the pages, there's sections where there's news posts, news, and one of them is about the Medusa tattoo. And what we did at CARE is once we got this awesome piece of artwork, empowerment, no better way to say it, we made up flyers. I'm going to hold it up in front of me, kind of, that have little tear offs here, but also, I'm getting it all backwards, has a QR code, has this awesome artwork. And so what we started to do they're awesome. As far as outreach is we started to go out and bring these to tattoo shops. And we started to bring them through that. People said, well, did you go to the bike shop next door? Did you go to the smoke shop? And probably, I would say probably around 100 of these have been around. Now they're like in Wawa and Circle K's. And when we first went out, we didn't know what kind of reception we were going to get because we knew we would be encountering male and female shop owners. Few things. Number one, more female tattoo artists, owners of tattoo shops than you would think. Didn't know that. Yes. So that's super cool. And then secondly, when we went, there was no one who was like squirmish. No, I don't think so. There were people like taking it. Wait, can I put in here? Do you have an extra one? And the telltale sign that this image and this poster is getting people to know what CARE is about is, I think around mid-December, this article that was on our website, on our CARE website, that gave the the information about the tattoo and also about how it was representing sexual victims, and that particular page that people can go to had like maybe 300-400 hits. As of today, only 300, 30, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 months later, it has 14,500 hits. So that means
Wow.
within a matter of 4 months, getting this out, and Laura Kime is one of the SB, she's the outreach person here. She has been all over the place handing these out. But that just shows that in that amount of time, and I know it's attributed to this awesome artwork, because it's eye catching, and then people scan, and then it's great because then they go to our page and then they're like, oh my gosh, like there's all these services out here. And I just told Moxie the other day that there was a client who called in, and it was the first client who actually identified herself and said, the reason why I called is because, and we had done a little caring conversation, which is on YouTube video, like a 10-11 minute thing, and she actually referenced that. So, you know, it's
cry.
Really, I know. Well, I wrote you right away and I said, we are making the ripples, because that's what I said to her. You know, in this position, it's hard to think that you're going to make all these big, awesome changes. You want to, but, you know, I told Moxie, I said, it's just like, you know, you just cast that little stone and it's one little ripple. And I keep on saying she's the ripple, you know, like the ripple's coming. So when I had that client the other day, I, you know, text her right away and I said, oh, we got another little ripple, you know, kind of thing.
It just blows my mind.
So it's awesome. It's awesome. And it's just great, the relationship that we've formed with Moxie now. She's such an advocate and a strong female in the community, doing all the right things and so positive. It's just great. It's great.
So I want to talk about the outreach side to a certain degree, because we talk about outreach a lot when we're together. And month after month, we've been doing this. I think we're in our 4th year now of having CARE conversations, which is kind of cool, because there aren't a lot of weekly shows, monthly shows out there about this. There's a lot of movies that educate people on what could happen. You know, we've talked about Taken, we've talked about all those types of movies out there, with human, yeah, what she said. And you know what's creative here, I think, beyond the norm, is that not only have you partnered with your community, but you've partnered with a business side of community in a different outreach way now, because I don't know how many organizations could take a tattoo and kind of make that a connection with people out in the real world, the real everyday working class world that we all thrive to communicate with. Listen, I'm from that world, before I became a realtor, and kind of still to this day, I find myself feeling so blessed that how I grew up and grinded my way through. Um, this is definitely a direct connection to that working class that I think is going to open up a lot of doorways and a lot of avenues of communication. Do you, and you just described it, but do you feel that coming?
Absolutely. First of all, you said so much, my head was spinning. But one of the things I want to say is that, you know, you were saying how fortunate you are to be able to make this connection with us through your radio show. I mean, we are just always so grateful that you allow us this forum every month to do it. And to be able to let people in the community know what CARE is about and what we offer for males and females, and you know, everyone in between in our community, because they're not aware of that. And I think that when we first started this project, this outreach project, we were hopeful that we were going to find and reach out to a demographic that maybe we had neglected along the way. And that really is our goal at CARE, is, okay, where are we kind of slacking? Where do we have to, you know, reach out to? And that's kind of how this came about, I think. And then again, the folks that are in the community, so receptive to this, and what else can we do, and you know, keep us in mind when you do that event. So it's just been phenomenal. And then when you have someone like Moxie, who is such an advocate out in the community, and has created that safe haven for females in this area, you know, it makes it easy, but it's very impactful because it's needed. And when we had a conversation last week, and we were talking about how, when you do go to get a tattoo, how you form this relationship with your tattoo artist. Sometimes they create this tattoo that you're going to have your whole life. Sometimes they're putting it in a place that is very, maybe intimate for you. And it is that relationship. You're trusting that tattoo artist. And so again, very fortunate that we were able to link up with such a wonderful woman, strong woman, who is doing so much good in the community. And there are, to our pleasure, there are many people who are in the tattoo industry in Charlotte County who are so receptive to this. So it's great. Are you waving to your grandchildren? Go away.
Yes, she is actually coming outside, and she put her coat on to come into the truck. This, people that don't know, I am actually with my granddaughters in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, and I came out to my truck to get quiet time so I could do the show. And she's found me sitting in my truck, and she already has her coat on because it is Big John time in Ohio, and they know when the truck goes, they're supposed to be in it. So
Oh, that's really cute.
I didn't know that you could see me point, but
I'm sorry for that distraction. I just saw you pointing off to the side. I was like, oh, there's going to be somebody out there. Sorry about that.
Yeah. See, that's the whole nature of this show is we can laugh, carry on, and have a good time, and yet I can send my granddaughter back in the house because she did have a coat on, but she was barefooted. So it is snowing here. So, and it's 36 degrees. So it's all good. But I find here's something I'm going to say, because I do the Buckeye group too. So we moved into Twisted Fork, and you had mentioned hitting clientele and different avenues. So when the Buckeye group moved into Twisted Fork, a lot of people said, yes, but that's a biker bar. Okay, it is. Okay. So I said to them, I said, listen, we got a great venue. He's really working hard to earn us and to bring us in. Let's remember that we have an opportunity here, and we have made so many contacts. We've done so many fundraisers. We've worked with one of the motorcycle groups now to raise money for kids. We've done. We're getting with Bert with Black Widow, and he's got an organization that we're going to help support. And I say this to you because knocking these barriers down is the biggest part of communication. It used to be, oh, yes, but there's motorcyclists there. Okay, well, I ride a motorcyclist and I lead your gang. And the gang is the Buckeyes. I said, so we wear our colors just like they do. So let's forget about that. Let's have the dialogue. Well, the next thing we know, we've got bikers coming in their full leather vest, watching the football games with us. And it's just, people have to remember that everyone walks a different life. And as long as you're willing to accept people and without any consequences, just go at it. There's a lot of great people out there, but there's also, for you guys, there's a lot of opportunity here to have dialogue because of what you're doing together jointly that I think is so needed. And it's not because of that environment. It's just because you were right. I think a lot of times you're trying to figure out, how do we touch people? How do we engage with them? Well, this is one of those ways that you don't have to really say much. You just have to show the tattoo, show the partnership, and show how you guys are really working hard together to coordinate things. And I think that's going to open avenues beyond MOXIE's belief and beyond C.A.R.E's belief. I really do.
I hope so.
And I go ahead.
It's so true because, as I said just earlier, we weren't sure of the reception we were going to get when we were going into, and at the time it was just the tattoo shops. And every place that you mentioned, we've gone into and dropped off this material. And, people do have, in little old Charlotte County, Florida, they do have those preconceived, that person don't look like me, and oh my goodness, look at her tattoos, and he's on that Harley, and I'm guilty of that too. So yes, I think that this whole project has definitely been eye-opening, and definitely it's nothing but positivity and good things can come from this.
Well, MOXIE, I want you to have a minute, but I also want you, during the minute, tell where your location is.
Sure. Well, first I'll say I'm located on 2595 Tamiami Trail in the courtyard. It's a really cute little area. And in fact, we're like all lady bosses that are in this little courtyard. There's Michelle who's Doll Lash. She does the lashes. There's Veronica who does nails in there. We just got another.
Wait a minute, is that Veronica? Is that Veronica from the tanning place up the road?
No. She does nails.
Okay.
And then we just got another massage therapist named Maggie who's right across from me. And then there's another woman named Maggie who does facials. Like, we are like lady boss central there, and I absolutely love the vibe. It is so chill, so comfortable, and adorable. So 2595 Tamiami Trail, awesome. Lady boss central. And what you were saying before about like being covered in tattoos, you get judged. Plain and simple. That's why they kind of call me Mama Moxie because when I have like young kids coming into the shop and they're like, hey, it's like my first tattoo and I want a tattoo on my face. And I'm like, no, like absolutely not, or they want something on their hand and they don't have any other tattoos yet. Like, tattoos are trendy. And right now, a lot of like rappers and, people in on TV and stuff, they have like neck tattoos, face tattoos, hand tattoos, but they have nothing on their arms or their legs or their chest. It's like immediately like super visible. So like, I can't speak for all shops, but I personally have moral standards where I will refuse to put tattoos on people. Like if they don't have a lot of tattoos already, or if they're like 18, 19 years old, I'm like, so what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, so do you want to wear gloves on your hands for the rest of your life? Because if you go get a job, like you might not be able to, do that job, or they might turn you away. Like I make people think about it more than others. I believe that people should like have those morals, but I can't speak for all shops. Yeah.
Well, what's kind of cool about what you just said is, and this goes along the way of anything that anybody should do, even with C.A.R.E in a situation, you're making people think, what's going to happen if I do this? Mm-hmm. And I've been doing this with C.A.R.E so long, I feel like I can have this whole conversation about tattoos and yet go right back to having the conversation about C.A.R.E at the same time, because there are so many judgments people make about people who wear tattoos. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if it's 100 or if it's 1. There are people out there that will criticize you over 1, and it could be a heart on your shoulder or on your back. Yep. And once they see it, you're just a different person to them. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a tattoo.
I mean, the biggest thing is we are all humans. We're all people. Like people who ride bikes, people who work in tattoo shops, like we're just people. Like there's no need to feel like intimidated or anything. In fact, most tattooed people are like the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like I personally, a little bit about me, I used to be a pre-K teacher. So yeah, I taught pre-K for a very, very long time. You know, I'm literally just a girl who has a bachelor's degree in fine arts. I love art. I love educating people, and I like tattoos. Like, that's it. There's no more, no less. Pretty transparent, you know? Um, but yeah, like when I was a teacher, people were like, I can't see you as a tattoo artist, like never ever. And now that I tattoo, they're like, you a teacher? Like, I can't even see that. And I'm like, yeah, you know? So
See, I see your story as a uh, as far as you're working with CARE, but outside of that, you being a community leader in the business area, which you are,
Mhm.
and you're pushing through. And I'll say this: the way you bragged about your group of ladies down there, and you didn't self promote. You gave back, not just to CARE, but you gave back to the group of ladies that are working around you doing the same thing. And that is the to me, that's the biggest part of success, is when you're already there, knowing you don't have to talk about yourself, and knowing that you just have to move the mission forward. And really, the mission is everybody's success. Because if everybody around you is doing the same thing, it's going to be successful. And that truly is kind of CARE in a nutshell too, because they work really hard. And that group of people, um, yes, while they have turnover, the one thing I've found consistently is that everyone who comes on board is full in. I mean, full in. They're not hesitant. Um, they're just moving the mission forward. And if they weren't there, I don't know what our community would do. Marilyn, do you have anything to add into this right now?
I do kind of, because you know how you were just saying that they're full in and everything like that. Like when we met Moxie and started working with her and everything, realizing how what an awesome you know, owner of a tattoo salon, female, and just such a strong woman. And then started really realizing what an advocate she was. Really, you know, for she could work for CARE really, because she will text me and be like, someone else came into the shop, da, 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 da. But she just doesn't do that. She like will, you know, figure out places that they can go to. What services do you have? Can you help this person in this? I mean, she even found out, she because you called the or got a hold of the health department and found out that if you want to report a tattoo artist who is not being on the up and up, or you know,
inappropriate with you.
appropriate with you, yes, that's the word I'm looking for, that you can actually get in contact and call the Florida Health Department. I wouldn't have known where to go.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, and actually she even, I'm going to read it off of a page I have here, because after finding out that you can report that inappropriate, and I think it's piercings too, piercings and tattoo.
Well, because anything that requires, because as a tattoo artist, you are required to be licensed by your county. Florida is actually one of the few states that has like a lot of licensing, and like I have so many certificates hanging up on the wall in my shop, because I have to show like biomed, I have to show tattoo establishment licensure, I have to show that myself and my artists, and you know, like that we're all licensed, we all went through bloodborne pathogens things. So me asking the health department, specifically Peter Fiore, I actually just reached out to the general Charlotte County Health Department, and he was like, what the heck, you know, but yeah, definitely like send all of the complaints my way, because when someone who's licensed by the health department goes against their code of ethics, that's when things start to happen. Like they're going against their standard. They are no longer ensuring that the community is safe. They're taking advantage of people. And that is literally like what the health department is in place for, is to make sure that you feel safe where you're going. And it's not just like, you know, oh, is there dust on this? Oh, is this expired? No, it goes beyond that to make sure that you do in fact feel safe somewhere at a tattoo shop or a piercing studio.
And that's exactly how, you know, her going above and beyond. And when we went to do Caring Conversations last week, she did have Peter Fiore, who you can get in contact with him. He is for Charlotte County specifically, actually. And it's Peter, Peter .FIORE at capital FLHEALTH.com. So flhealth.com. And then also you could call him at 941-624-7200. And again, though, that is if you have any appropriateness by your tattoo artist, you're not feeling comfortable, and even health concerns, I would think, as far as those kind of issues, you could reach out to him and let him know. And it's great to know, like, I wouldn't have known that, oh, you go to the health department with this kind of complaints. Of course, if you're comfortable enough and if it really is, you know, it is a thing where you want to report it to law enforcement, you can do that as well. But this is another, easy there with the, but this is one way that I didn't know that where you would report it. Yes, Moxie, did you have something to say?
Raising my hand. Yeah, I just want people to know, because I didn't know this until I was helping a client of mine, that there are statutes of limitations for how long after an incident happens that you can actually legally report it to the police. It's 2 years. Not long enough. It's absolute ludicrous, but that is the way that the law works. So if something has happened and you want to speak up, like, it's sooner than later, unfortunately.
Well, and let's draw that together, though. Let's draw that together with CARE, because this is, I think it's a good thing that we're talking about other issues that are out there. Sexual harassment comes into play at all kinds of different levels, and
Absolutely.
you know, the fact that we're sitting here and 2 out of 3 of us did not know how to report that. I certainly did not know. It wasn't even on my radar to think about until now. One, I'm a guy. It tends not to happen this direction at a tattoo parlor, I would think.
But it does.
But it does. But I liked what you said, because the fact that and I know 2 years is not enough. I get it. But you know what? We all need to start stepping up and not feeling alone or afraid. And I think the more that we can talk about these things and knock that barrier down, that 2 years won't feel like long enough for the other side. The reason they feel comfortable is that 2 years is a quick thing. The reason that this side feels that way is we're hesitant. They're not hesitant. We're hesitant.
Women are scared.
Say again. Go ahead.
Women are scared to speak up.
I know.
Like,
and
that's why I was quiet for so many years. I didn't start speaking up until when I had to become my own boss to know that I wasn't going to lose my job, to be able to start speaking about this. Like, sure. That's the
and
truth.
that happens in both sexes. I have this conversation about pressure in jobs and what happens in a job, and it happens on both sides where the fear factor takes over. And you know, we're kind of in this weird time frame right now where jobs are abundant. They really are. And the fear of leaving your job or losing your job because you can't find something else right now in our lifetime, I've never felt like this before, where an employee is more powerful than the employer.
And I'm going to
go ahead.
I'm going to jump right on that. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but that's how it kind of flows in this show sometimes. Sure. Because what I want to say about that is, so if you are a male or a female who is out there and in a job where maybe you are getting sexually harassed or you're not or touched, or just even words that are not appropriate, it is the perfect time to, at the very least, you may not go report it, you may not call CARE, but you have the option right now, in the way the economy is, to leave that job. You are better than that. If you can and you have the strength, then by all means, call CARE. We have the hotline at 941-627-6000, 24/7. Somebody is on that hotline. And then we have the helpline at the 941-637-0404. And that's just for someone to talk to. I mean, we do have free and confidential services, and we can maybe direct you in, maybe you want to go report it. Maybe you want to report it to the person who you're working for. But we don't make you do anything you want to. But at the very least, if you are in that position, you want to leave that job and that position. And right now, like you said, John, there are so many jobs out there. It's as good a time as any kind of thing. And it's just, another thing that you said, John, that just really struck me is next month in April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And we're doing a lot of events, a walk and this and that and the other thing. But one of the things that we've already started is a campaign. It's called Start by Believing. And it's basically, that is, if someone comes to you, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's at your tattoo parlor, whether it's on your radio show, if you just listen to that person, if they come with a story and you think it's a story and that's no way that's happened, start by believing. And all you have to do is listen and maybe say, I believe you, or I'm sorry this happened to you, or what can I do to help you? And that's the easiest thing that you can do as a person who might be the recipient of hearing information. And to be honest with you, going back to the community, sometimes when someone comes to you, they're trusting in you, but it might not be comfortable things that they're telling you, that they're divulging to you. But again, if you are just that listening ear, you can direct them to CARE or MOXIE Studio. But that's maybe all they need, is that little assurance that it's going to be okay. I believe you. And where can we go from here to get you help?
I want to say real quick that, like, to anyone who's listening, it's never just you. It's never just you. If whoever's doing whatever to you, there are other people that this person is also doing that to. And by speaking up, you could be protecting a lot of other women, children, and just know that, like, you're not alone. Like, seriously, like, when women band together, like, really magical things happen.
Moxie and I know that.
Yes.
It is true. But I do want to...
Go ahead.
It's going to be the Moxie and MARILYN show. Okay, sorry, John.
Listen, I'm going off there right now.
But what I was going to say about that is, yes, like when people, it doesn't even have to be females, band together, they can make such a difference. And that goes to how I've said to Moxie before, like, it's just a ripple, and you make that ripple, and that ripple gets bigger and bigger, and then it's filling the whole body of water. But please, if you feel threatened by your perpetrator, feel like something more, there might be more repercussions if you do come forward or you do report it, please don't put yourself in harm's way. Yes. We don't want people doing that, but just know that you are not alone. You are not alone. And, that perpetrator, like Moxie said, that perpetrator's probably done it to quite a few other people before. So if you do have the strength and you do feel empowered, then by all means, talk to someone, report it, call CARE, and we can help you and we'll assist you in any way we can. John, did you want to say something?
I do now. My goodness. I'm really going to throw it back at you, because, we talked about that time frame of 2 years, but I want you to talk about when people do come forward and they start talking, do things drag out, or do they seem to get a sort of empowerment, even if it takes them a little bit? They gain empowerment every time they come in and talk. And the
I
average. Go ahead.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. I think for some survivors, sometimes they will never report it, and they have, that's their piece, and that's how they have to deal with it, and that's fine. And then I think some survivors, when they come in, it might be the first visit, one-on-one visit, or they come to an SB or a DV support group. They do start to feel empowered, and they do start to realize, wait a second, especially when they come to the support groups, I'm not alone. Maybe I do have the strength to do this. Just the other day, I had someone in one of my support groups, and finally she was able to get somewhere with the law enforcement, and I'm not trashing law at all. But they listened, and they did this and they did that. And she came into support group like she had just, had a superpower. She was and it was contagious. And so I think that it really does depend. I know for DV clients, and I know the facts out there is that they say it's usually around 7 times before they can leave that domestic violence situation, is the around the number. And so it's with any situation like that, it takes a lot of courage, a lot of strength. And it's not you're stronger or you're a better person if you go right to law enforcement or if you call C.A.R.E. up. No, you have to do what's right for you. And at C.A.R.E., when you call us, we're going to give you options. We're going to give you resources. We're going to try to direct you in the way that's best for you. And for some people, it's going to be just calling is going to give them that empowerment to move forward in some direction. And for others, it might be they call every once a month and just have an ear to talk to. And that's okay. Any way that the survivor, the person who has been victimized, it's your own journey, and sometimes it may take years, and sometimes, like I said, it might be just instantaneous. You just get this energy from other people and from actually getting it out there into the universe.
Like when people have come forward to me, is sometimes it's just me and that person in the shop, and like they'll literally still whisper it to me. Like they'll tell me like what had happened, and sometimes they don't even like realize like how bad it actually was, or that it was something that shouldn't have happened, or like they just kind of like tossed it out of their memory, because that's a defense mechanism, is to kind of just like forget, or just, I mean, that's how I dealt with some of my own stuff, to be totally honest, is just be like, no, like that didn't really happen to me. Like, no, I'm too strong for that. Like, well, it did, and that's something that when women have come forward to me, and I kind of have helped them realize that, like, I've also had stuff happen to me. I understand your position. I understand your anger. I understand your fear. I understand all of that. And like, that's when, so I am going to say a little bit about my Instagram right now. My Instagram is at MOXIE Tattoo, MOXIE TATTOO. On my Instagram, I do have a saved story called Tattoo Me Too, where I have a whole bunch of articles, a whole bunch of resources. There's also on my Instagram of like what you should wear to get certain private tattoos. Like I try to collect a whole bunch of resources on my Instagram so that people can feel more empowered, more knowledgeable when they are making decisions about where to go, what red flags are. Because sometimes what I've heard is sometimes you have these red flags before you even have your appointment, where you're getting these private messages saying, hey, can you send me, like if it's a sternum, hey, can you send me a picture of like your chest so that I can measure out the tattoo for you? They're just asking you for like a topless photo. Like that's a red flag. Like they do not need to have a picture of your breasts on their phone so that they can draw a tattoo for you. Like these are certain things that some clients have like said to me, you know, that these are red flags. And I actually had a client, they told me that their sister decided to not go to another shop because she got a red flag like that, and was like, I'm going to go to Moxie's because I know that she's going to make me safe there. Like when I heard that, I was like, good. You know, like people who get tattoos, it's intimidating. It's intimidating. Like when I was young and I was going into shops, I felt so intimidated. Like every single time, like I felt like I couldn't speak up. I felt like I couldn't say if I wanted to change the design. Like I felt not listened to, not heard. Like, because it's like I'm insecure and it's like that is their domain, you know? And like now when I have people come in, I make sure I'm like, you will be heard, you will be listened to. If you don't like your design, please tell me. You don't like your placement, please tell me. Like this is an open discussion. It's your body. First and foremost, it's your body, not my artwork on your body. It's your body.
And John, this before you were asking, no, it's good because you were asking me for what also gave her the strength and the power and how to get into her own business. What she was just going on about there, that was some of that passion and that fire in her belly kind of, I think, helped her along the way.
Felt the flames.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, everything that just came out, I don't know. I was listening intently, okay? Because at any point in that whole dialogue, you could have been talking about sexual abuse, human trafficking, coming forward and just discussing things, telling people about what happened to you. You literally talked about CARE, and you were talking about tattoos. That's the funny thing. That was amazing. So if anybody, I mean, seriously, if you need, I have goosebumps.
Really?
Because of what? Yes, because I've been doing this with CARE too long that I care about CARE, and the fact that I was listening so closely, and the only thing my mind kept going to was all the check marks that we always talk about on the show. And all of those things you put into like 15 seconds. And it was just like this moment where I'm going, okay, if you got a problem, all you got to do is call Moxie, and all you got to do is call CARE and have a conversation. And there's enough information there. And so that's, I've enjoyed the show. I will say that I've truly enjoyed the show, and we've done this numerous times over 4 years now. And I have to say, I love the connection that you guys have created. I think it's gonna, I don't think, I know that it's going to pay off for you, the group of ladies you're around down there in your shop. And I know it's going to pay off for CARE, which I truly, truly hope it does, like I think it will. But I've got 2 minutes left, and I'll throw it back at the Moxie and MARILYN show. And you guys have anything to add?
Moxie, do you want to give another plug, maybe where they can email you? Because I know
Sure.
you get email.
Yes. Okay. So my email is tattoosbymoxie, MOXIE @gmail.com. My website is also tattoosbymoxie.com, where I actually just added my 2 apprentices and my other artist page to it, so you can check out their work as well. My girls will probably be tattooing by the end of this year, Leanne and Taylor. So keep a lookout for them because they're going to kill it. And we're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
So awesome. Her shop is so inviting and warm, and art all over the wall. It's really, really nice. And then, of course, if you need any assistance with CARE, and if you are a sexual victim survivor or a domestic violence survivor, please know that we have the DV hotline, which is 941-627-6000. And again, we have the SV helpline, which is 941-637-0404. And I know that someone will be on John's show next month talking about the sexual assault awareness things that we have going on for that month.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being part of the show, and I look forward to next month. We'll see you guys soon. This
Thank
is
you for
John
having
Rowan.
me.
You're very welcome with Moxie and Marilyn. So thank you guys so much. You guys have a great week.
You too.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye.
Bye-bye.